Okay, so in this clip, we are going to talk about and go over how to do a doodle line design. This is an example of the doodle line design. You can kind of see the top and the bottom. And to begin this project, you're going to start out by getting your layout set up. So you're first going to do a few squares so you can figure out a study. Get your ribbon figured out. So, and what I mean by your ribbon is on here, you have this ribbon. It goes on and off the page and it flows throughout and it breaks up your space. So you need to first decide how you're going to have this ribbon work. So, and the easiest way to do this is to just really do some drawings, just kind of have some, and I would have it go off and just have a free flowing and think about working up the page, breaking up your space. You don't want it too crazy because then you're going to have a lot going on, but you just want to have it kind of work through your picture because your eyes are going to follow this throughout your page, and that's going to create some eye travel. So the easiest way to do this is just kind of mess around. Actually, that one's pretty cool, or just until you find one you like. So we'll just go with this one, whatever. So when you guys go home, before you come back to class, I want you to take a piece of scratch paper and do this so that when you come back to class tomorrow, you have the one you want so you can come back and get to this next step. So once you picked one, so I'm just gonna go with this one. Once you picked one, you're gonna go to your final sheet. So we're gonna pretend like this is my final sheet. My final square piece of paper, like this paper here, this will be my final piece of paper. And you're going to draw first your study. So this is roughly how this one looks. So you've got that first breakup. Then you're going to add the ribbon. If you look here, here's my line, but then it's composed, it's turned into a ribbon. Ribbons flow, they kind of open and shut. So you're going to create that ribbon edge. Here's, gets wider, then thinner, then wider, how a ribbon flows. Here's wide. So you're going to think about some spaces where you have a larger area. I've got a large space here, I've got a large space here, and you may want to make your ribbon larger in those areas. So I'm going to widen my ribbon here, go down. Now I'm in Sharpie, so you need to decide if this is going to go over and above. See how on this example, this one goes above, whereas this one goes below. You would do this in pencil so you'd be able to see. So like this one, maybe I'd have it go below, so I can do this second one, that one, where see how it would go below. Now maybe I want to go skinny here since this is a smaller loop. Skinny around. Maybe I want to flip. You know how sometimes ribbons flip? And go wider maybe, since I got a larger space here. Or maybe wide to thin to wide. However you want to do it, but you want to think about your spaces. You want to make, if you had, like I said, a larger area, you want to maybe widen it a little bit. So once you have your ribbon, then the next step you're going to do is you're going to have 3 different shapes that you're going to use to break up the space. Now, I did this example a long time ago, so this is going to date it a little bit. But here, my first shape is a hand shape. Here it is. And I actually use the shadow of my hand because we did this, we use shadows. But I've since made it to where you can just do shapes. Then here is my hand doing a number 1, like a number 1 here. And then right here, here's the dating. is actually my hand holding a flip phone. That's how old this is. See how the flip phone goes up. So when we did shading, but you don't have to do, it doesn't have to be a hand or anything. So if you wanted to do, for the sake of being very simple, I'm just going to do a heart. And when you think about these shapes, you again want to think about your open area, and these shapes need to overlap ribbon. So again, think about your open area. This is a bigger area. Another shape. Let's go with, I can't even think of anything. We'll just go with a diamond. So, and I'm going to go off the page on this one. So I'm overlapping. It's a weird diamond here. That's not really a diamond, but I wanted to fill my space. Overlapped to kind of fill this space. Now I've got one more here that I want to break up. So let's just do a coffee mug. So open shape, goes off the page, goes down, has a handle, goes down. So I've got my three shapes. They break it up. I kind of went in my areas that were larger, so I broke up those larger spaces and the smaller spaces. So the next step is your doodles. What you're going to do is in every space, not every shape, not every section that you drew, but in every space. So when you hit a line, you're going to change it. You're going to do a doodle. It doesn't have to be a pattern, it just needs to fill it. So for instance, this is a doodle of some clouds. They fill this whole section, but when I hit a line, it changed. Here was a ribbon, I did a doodle of a road. Here's more of a pattern doodle. It changed. See how this flipped with the ribbon? Once that line switched, it changed to a different pattern. Where the hand overlapped, it switched to a different pattern. So each section is going to be a different pattern. And when you color this, you need to think about stuff like balance and contrast, because the beginning art students are only going to be using black and white. So when you do your patterns, like this one, I maybe almost did two patterns that were too close together because you kind of can't see these two because the patterns are very similar. So you need to think about doodles that are different. This area is very dark and almost a basic doodle. So I chose doodles beside it that were either light and basic or lighter and complex. So you want to have that contrast of light to dark or basic to complex to kind of create balance so that you don't have too much for your eyes to focus on. So you can still move around the piece without getting like crazy to where you can't have anything to focus on. So you really need to think about that balance of doodles or that contrast from black to white. Now you'll draw in your patterns or your doodles, so you'll fill in every single section will be a different doodle pattern, and every single section will be some type of black or white. Now the advanced or Art 2 kids get to introduce the element of color. So once they've gone in and done the black and white, they can go in and add some color. Now you need to think again about balance. If you added too much color, you're gonna not know where to look. So you want to almost think about using color as a way to create a center of interest or to create some movement. Like I use color here to kind of almost follow the ribbon. And then I threw in some color here to kind of play off the theme, to kind of pull you into to viewing that itself. So you really need to think of the balance of color versus black and white, whereas here they're thinking about the balance of color versus dark to light. So this is your project. Again, you'll write your name on the end and decide which direction it goes. Once you've decided on that, then get your name in there somewhere. And this is your doodle line design.